Anno 117 Pax Romana currently has a free demo available on Steam in which you can explore both the Latium and Albion regions and build the Roman city of your dreams. But there is a catch. You only have 1 hour to do it. Only 1 hour to accomplish whatever goal you've set for yourself before you get kicked back to the main menu. Now, yeah, you can replay the demo as many times as you want, but that's going to be a pretty tight time frame. And I did have a goal for this video where I wanted to conquer an island using my Roman legions. It, didn't go well. Oh god, the pirates have so many more defenses than I expected! This was a mistake! We're all dead! But that's fine, I got some other ideas. Before we get started, I do want to say a big thank you to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video. It's very much appreciated. If you guys want to try out the demo for yourself, it is currently running until September 16th. You can find a link in the description down below and give it a go. Now for this video, we are going to be playing once again in the Latium region, since I did play in Albion last time. The real question is, can we build anything really big and interesting within only 1 hour? The answer is yes, but only up to population tier 2, as you'll see. So let's go ahead and start the clock. If you take a look at the top right, you will see how much time we have left. And fun fact, in this demo, pausing will not give you more time. So we need to be moving pretty much as fast as we can right from the get-go. As a result, I'm not going to be explaining absolutely everything that I do. If you watch my previous 2 videos, you already have a decent idea how the mechanics will work, so none of this should be too much of a surprise to you. We just want to go ahead and move as fast as we can. I'm going to start by getting myself 2 woodcutters as well as 2 sawmills. If you do have 100% efficiency on both of these, then you should be able to supply 1 sawmill full-time with 1 woodcutter, which is kind of ideal. Then let's place down a warehouse to make sure everything is going to work. Now we need to think about our first round of city blocks. Now you do generally still want to build things kind of in blocks in this game, only because that's how your services are naturally going to work, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to be that efficient. We'll just do the best that we can here. Let's go ahead and place something kind of along like this, a little street of Libertus residences. If you don't remember, the Libertus is your lowest class, your peasants, your freemen. So they'll be at least able to work some of our jobs. They do have some needs that need to be met, though. Let's go for the sardines and the porridge. Sardines, I don't mind placing down a couple of nearby fishing huts. And we do have sardine fertility as well as mackerel, though I am lacking apparently in the lavender department. That's going to be an issue later on. I'm going to place a porridge stand right along over here. It's still close enough to the trading post that it should be able to siphon around materials, so I don't need a warehouse there. But I do need to get myself an oat farm, so let's go ahead and place that up close to the mountains. Something like that is probably going to be fine. Thank you very much. All right, so now we can move up to speed 3, because at this point, there's no reason not to go as fast as you can, since, you know, it doesn't impact your timer at all. These guys are going to be doing their work. We probably want to get ourselves another oat farm, if I'm honest, so we'll go ahead and plan on that. Let's see, something like... this is about right, I guess. I just like to have it kind of nestled up against the mountains. I think it looks good. And we'll have to have another porridge stand later on, but for the moment, this should be okay. We're meeting all sorts of other players. We're also getting an event where I can buy a supply of some extra lumber. I do recommend that you pick that up, because it is usually going to be nice to have a bit of extra building materials at the beginning of the game. So now all we're doing is waiting for these guys to have their needs met. The sardines are not going to be an issue. We're really just waiting for the dang porridge. And the oats are on their way. They're just, well, again, kind of slow. Having a more nearby warehouse would be nice. But 1 oat is all we need to start producing. 1 porridge. 1 porridge is going to meet the needs of most of the nearby citizens. And once we have that, we can start moving on to things like markets and taverns. So let's go ahead and start thinking about how we're going to be doing some of our blocks, because that does end up being kind of important at some point, just to make sure everything is nice and efficient. And that's going to be a lot easier to visualize now that we have access to the markets and the taverns. So we have a nice service radius, kind of like over here. So I want to place this probably right about here, and then think about how I'm going to be building my residential and other service blocks around this location. And that's going to end up being the best thing for me. So both those buildings can go down right about there, and I'll just go ahead and start placing down more housing preemptively. And if you ever need to, don't forget that you can use the relocation tool to just move things around, and that is also a completely fine thing to do. No shame. But anyway, with those taken care of, now we can move on to the tunics and the pileus hats. It's not even been 5 minutes, and we're moving on to the final resources here for our Libertus. Let's go ahead and place down these flax farms Something like this is completely fine, I guess. And a spinner is nice to place close to all the other housing, so you still want to have this in a good centralized location. As far as like sizing, maybe we can do something like right here and then place another one. Yeah, that'll leave room for a couple of buildings. It won't reach absolutely every house, but it will be at least halfway decent. Let's place down the felter in the same general area since it is the same size, like so. And now we need to get some sheep as well. I'll place this close to my warehouse like that, and there we go. All right, so that's all the basic needs for our Libertas that are going to be met in just a little bit. So all we need to worry about now is getting as many of our building materials together and then continue building up our population so that I will be able to start getting the next level of our population. That is, of course, going to be our plebs. So let's go ahead and start upgrading a handful of housing like so. There we go. And now we have new people with new needs. First thing to do, of course, is start getting some tiles. And for that, I want to get myself some clay pits. We'll start up something up over there. And then, of course, we'll get a road in that area. Plus, one good clay pit, I think, can handle 2 tilers. So we'll go ahead and place these over here. Though, do be aware, they have a pretty bad fire chance rating. So that can become an issue. And we also want to get ourselves some charcoal production. 91% over here at least is reasonable. We'll take it. And then, of course, don't forget you need to place down a warehouse. If you don't have a warehouse, then you can't reach anything, and that would make you sad. All right, that's our next round of construction materials taken care of. We also should think about how we're going to be placing down some of our city services. We need to have a fire depot, so something up over here could make sense. Plus, we'll want a custodia nearby to deal with any crime, and we also want to have a medici in order to make sure we provide some basic healthcare. I don't have all the materials for them right now, but that's fine. We can just go ahead and use our placement. So this should give me a pretty hefty amount of expansion room. We can kind of build anywhere in this big circle up over here, and we'll still be fine. I'll go ahead and start planning out more housing, shall I? Now, building diagonally like this is not exactly the most efficient, but I will say it's very pretty, so I'm going to do a little bit. Do be aware, though, that as you build up some of these city services, you're going to find that your income drops a fair bit, but at least everyone's needs are met, so that's good enough. Let's see what else we need to get. Well, we have to get ourselves some bread and some garum. Now, since I do have access to mackerel on this island, not too hard to get. We'll get a Scomber's shack, plus we'll get some salt ponds up and running, and that should meet all of my needs there. We just need to place down a garum works. This is going to reduce happiness for everything, but it does improve income. So the question is it worth sacking a bit of happiness in order to make money? And the answer is almost always yes, in real life and in the game. That's a joke, by the way. I don't advocate for that. Let's also place down a bakery in a good central area. Something like this will have to be fine. Does also come with some fire hazards, but c'est la vie. Grain mill needs to be placed along the river area, so right up there is fine. We just have to quickly build a little bridge like so. And then, of course, wheat farms, but I've already got plenty of space over here. We'll just take advantage of that. Okay, and with all of that taken care of, now we can unlock the Sanctuary and the Grammaticus. Now, if we want to start doing research, obviously the Grammaticus is going to be very, very important. So let's place that in another good central location. Of course, it's harder than ever to get a good central location right now, so, yeah. Again, maybe not a bad idea to go ahead and start moving some housing if needed, so that it's easy to fit something in a more central location. There we go. That kind of works for me. Thank you. All right, so with research unlocked, let's go ahead and look for something useful. Could go for military techs. Not going to worry about that too much right now. I'd rather go ahead and do things like boost up, say, my market range. We could also go for upgrades to our warehouses, some depots, trading posts, etc. Sewing circles wouldn't be a bad thing to get. More knowledge simply by having some spinners nearby. That sounds great. And the Sanctuary, I don't know how strictly necessary it is we have one, but it's got a pretty hefty range, so something like this should be okay. And if we're going to do that, we need to set ourselves a patron god. I find Ceres to be a very easy one to work with, because we'll be able to start boosting up some of our production for things like porridge and bread and so on. It's just good for making sure your people are happy. And if you have an excess, great, then we'll be able to just, sell the excess and make some cash. We're 15 minutes in, by the way, and I still have a ways to go. In order to get ourselves the next tier for our plebs, we need to get some soap and some sandals. That means I need about 50 more plebs or so to go. We can upgrade more housing. Just let's make sure we don't run out of any libertas along the way. There we go. That'll do the job. Go ahead and unlock the sandals and the soap. Now, the soap requires lavender, and that's going to be an issue for me since I don't have that on this particular island. But the good news is with sandals, we should be able to do something there. So let's go ahead and place down some buildings, again, in an area to try and get as much value out of this as possible. But the pigs and stuff, we kind of want to keep away from the people. Pigs are going to be reducing health by a fair bit. Same thing with the tanner, just makes everyone very unhappy. It's not generally good to make your workers unhappy as well, but that's preferable than placing anything close to your residential areas for sure. All right, so if we want to be getting ourselves to another island, we need to think about how we are going to be getting some more ships. Let's go to harbor buildings and get ourselves a glorious shipyard, where I will be able to start constructing some new ships. Now, that comes with a few needs of its own. We need to get ourselves some ropes, which of course is made from more hemp. So we've got that going for us. Then we need to go for the sails, which require even more sheep, but honestly, that's fine. There we go. All right, so with the pigs, with the sheep, with the hemp, and everything else, we're going to have all the ingredients we need to start making ourselves some ships. Now, there are military ships and civilian ships. I think just producing some civilian ships for trade is all we are going to need. A gift has been offered, 10,000 denarii. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you kindly. Much appreciated. Let's find our main ship here, by the way. The Unbound Titan is its name. Is there a lavender island? This one actually is lavender right here. Let's go ahead and move it in an area like this, close to the shore, so we can spend the money we just gained in order to place down a new trade post, and we're going to have to colonize an entire second island. We have other things here, too. We have Murex snails, we have Sandarak, we have minerals, gold. It's not a bad island as far as just opening up more options for us. So here we are. We can go ahead and construct like so. Thank you, Emperor. And that gets me a new island to work with all of the headaches that come with it. Just like before, we need to get ourselves things like some timber. We need to get ourselves some clay production, whatever else it's going to take. But this is where having extra ships will become handy for us, because then we can start ferrying materials back and forth between our islands. City status continues to increase. Oh, great, a bunch of things burned down. Yeah, that's the problem with not having some fire safety in the area. Always be watching that with your city watch. It can really come back to bite you if you are not paying attention. Okay, we have more things available to us here. We have the amphora and we have the olive oil. Okay, now do we even have what we need to make this? Well, if I get some resin, sure, but we don't have resin fertility here, so that's not an option for us. And I don't think we have olive fertility here either, so none of that's going to be really available, at least not yet. So we need to think about how we can start doing some trades with other people. Let's go to our trade routes and see what people are offering. We have neutral traders over here who are offering me that amphora I'm looking for. They would like to have oats and clay. We can do that. What about you? Sturgeon, blah, blah, blah. You have the same stuff I do. You have gold, flax, murex. No. What about you? Nope. All right. Lavender be bought over this direction. Now, there's got to be some more neutral traders we can get access to, or I need to start thinking about colonizing yet another island. This one, for example, has the resin that I'm looking for, which could be good. This one has resin and olives. It's a little bit close to some pirates that are in this region, but I think this might be another good spot for us to go. So let's go ahead and send our ship up this direction and see if we can't do another round of colonization. And if I want to start overproducing a material like some clay, I mean, that's not even the worst thing in the world, since we know we'll be able to trade for a bit of extra money. And income is really the only thing that matters in this game. Yeah, I did warn that we might come under attack by somebody, and there it is right there. We are, in fact, under attack. So if I want to deal with this ship, we're going to have to come over here and start fighting against it, which is probably fine for us with our strength, I think. Though it's going to be a little bit close because I was dumb and wasn't paying attention. There we go. All right, so that ship got sunk. Cool, thank you. Let's go ahead and place down that trading post we said we want right along here. I don't have enough money! 25,000! No. All right, I can't actually do anything. We have to do trading first. It's fine, that's fine. That's, again, why we were setting up some of these trade ships. Let's go ahead and go on a trade route, get that set up now. We'll sell some of our excess clay and oats. We will buy some of the amphora over here and deliver that so our people can be happy. And with my other ship, let's go ahead and set up a trade route to drop off some lavender. Oh, another thing I really should have done a while ago is just go ahead and place down a governor's villa. We might as well do that now. Should cover pretty much everything in this area, which is very nice. Oh, looks like we have some sort of a festival going on over here. Aw, look at all the happy people. I'm amazing. Everyone worship me. Another thing I can go ahead and work on is setting up a quick little iron mine over in this direction. I mean, it's not that we have an immediate use for said iron, but I mean, it's not a bad thing to have, right? Now, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot more we can do beyond what we already have. This is kind of starting to max things out for us. Because in this demo, getting up to Tier 3 population is closed off, which means we are not going to have access to things like the amphitheater, we're not going to have access to the aqueduct yet, and while I certainly could start constructing some military buildings and get myself something pretty there, weapons production, train up troops, and so on, we should not be able to declare war on any of the other players. So even though I can have significantly stronger army power than them, I don't think there's anything we can do to take advantage of that, which is a little unfortunate, because otherwise I would happily go on a conquest spree. The only person I can fight against is Caeso Regulus Syracuse over here, who is a lot stronger than I am, not necessarily just in naval power, though there is that, but the fact that he has so many towers, I mean, that's where everything went horribly wrong for me in my test game leading up to this. And again, let me remind you how that turned out for me. Oh gods, they're all dead! So the only thing I can think to do with my last remaining 13 minutes, since we've already managed to unlock pretty much everything that is available to us, shy of having enough money to get onto another island, is basically just to be building out as urban as I can, though I do see that another player just settled an island over here. I doubt we'll have the option to do anything useful, but on the off chance I can pick up any resources from here, you've got nothing. Darn! And we'll also continue unlocking whatever I can. For example, we can place down some watchtowers and small little areas that have been left open in all of my city roads. Easy way to boost up just a little bit more happiness. I'm trying to go through some of the research tree as much as we can, but obviously this is intended for a very long game. And we are not going to get even remotely far enough into this for this to work. But you can see here, for example, have various different milestones is what's going to unlock different types of technologies. So we want to have trade routes and generate 500 knowledge for Albion research. Okay, and then that could lead to marshland draining, some mines, and so on. Aqueducts in Latium would get me some additional research, monumental research, and so on. My question is, how does this research tree going to work when the game actually comes out? Because obviously you can't do Albion and Latium tasks at the same time. So are there going to be multiple maps and your accomplishments on one are going to impact another? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Only about a minute remaining here. Let's just go ahead and start building out a quick military barracks for the sake of it, since we are Roman. Unfortunately, actually building out any proper walls will take a while, since you need a metric ton of timber in order to build things up. Still, we could whip together a real quick, like, weapons manufacturing and such. We already have some charcoal being produced nearby, so this is all taken care of. Boom. Now I'll be able to start getting some weaponry. But we're pretty much out of cash. Shy of someone giving me, like, 20,000 denarii, there's not a lot more that I can do beyond what we already have, but I'm already set up for a lot of urbanization over in this direction. Things are looking solid. This island is doing exactly what I want it to do, which is produce a whole bunch of lavender. Well, I say that, something apparently went down over here. And that is the end of the demo. Anno 117 Pax Romana will be available starting on November 13th, so if you missed the demo and happen to watch this video a bit later, hey, no sweat, you don't have that much longer to wait before all of Latium and Albion is opened up before you. And as you guys might have seen from the very first video I released on Anno 117, where I had a much longer play session available, I mean, building things like aqueducts and amphitheaters is a pretty lofty and exciting goal, and definitely worth your time. The game is absolutely gorgeous, super picturesque, really scratches that Roman obsession itch. But alas, that is all that I have to show you today, at least until some more endgame content is made available to me. Thank you all for watching, though, and thanks again to Ubisoft for sponsoring today's video. If you want to try out the demo for yourself, you have until September 16th, so go ahead and click on that link in the description down below, and then using all the tools that I have given you in this video, you should be able to explore all of the content available within that 1 hour. Maybe pick a better second island than I did, though. That might serve you well. Be sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.